As I've reflected on today's service with many new members and reflections by members about their beliefs, I've remembered my own journey here. I came to First UU almost 30 years ago for my children, to ensure they could make up their own minds about their religion when they were ready. I stayed because I became involved in the community after 9/11, studying just war and immersing myself in the social justice life here. I stay now because it and you are my home away from home, which helps me to live my life according to my values, which are embodied in our 7 principles. We now kindle our chalice flame with these words. May it light within us hearts of compassion, minds of wisdom, actions of justice, lives of service, and souls of awe and wonder at the beauty of this life, of this world.
Throughout the year, we hold classes for newcomers to learn about our church and its history, find ways to get involved, and meet others who are considering becoming members. Today, we get to welcome those who have recently decided to join our church. So I invite those who are here to join, to come forward and join me and Melissa up here just behind the chalice. Come on up. Good morning. When we welcome new members, it's a seemingly simple act, signing a name and saying welcome. You can find their names in the order of service, and Melissa's going to share them.
This morning we have Lynn Dergerstrom, Derek Hansen and Heather Hansen, Victoria Moore, Paul Ray, Jason Sumner, Cynthia Sweet, James Sweet, and Karen Terrera. We're thrilled to welcome them this morning.
So it's signing a name and saying welcome, but it's more than that. Something more powerful happens. It's a commitment of hearts to hearts, of joining a community, reconsecrating our commitment to who we are and what values we are called to, naming and honoring new souls among us in the larger family of all souls. So I invite the congregation to turn to the litany of welcome, which is in your order of service, as we welcome these new members. Will you join with me? We welcome you into this congregation and into the larger circle of Unitarian Universalism. We welcome your story, your identity, and the gifts that you bring. May you find here a home for your soul, and new members together.
We love to join you as members of this church. We will offer our gifts as we are able to the flourishing and well-being of this community and support the values of this congregation: hospitality, compassion, spiritual growth, and justice.
And all together, we covenant to travel together in this religious community. Here may we be affirmed for who we are and challenged to be our best selves. Here may we grow our souls, care for each other and the earth, nurture spiritual growth, practice justice, and together lead lives of meaning, service, and love. We bid you welcome. May this church truly be a home for your soul. And look out at these people, your new adoring fans. May these be your people, and you theirs. And together may you offer each other strength and courage, wisdom and comfort, hope and love. As the congregation sings a blessing to you, we'll invite you to sign this membership book, which holds the names of over 150 years of people who have added their name as this church, as their spiritual home. May you sign in gratitude for all those who have come before you, and in hope and anticipation of all those who are yet to sign their names. We'll sing together hymn number 1 in the gray hymnal, May Nothing Evil Cross This Door. I invite you to remain seated as we sing together. Verse 1 again. May nothing evil cross his door, and may good fortune never pry out these windows. May the roar and rain go by. And you can welcome these new members between services today, and we bid you welcome. We're so glad you're here.
This is, I believe. I feel very blessed to stand before you today to share a little bit of what I believe is what has brought me here today. Growing up in Tegucigalpa, Honduras, my family was Catholic. We went to church from time to time, not with any regularity, but we did observe the special holidays of La Semana Santa, Holy Week, and La Navidad, Christmas. Whenever I see red, delicious apples, it makes me think of Christmas. For Christmas Eve, my father would always buy us red, delicious apples and grapes. It was the only time of the year we would have those special trees. When I was a teenager, I recall that there were new churches opening up in town. Since I had not been a devout Catholic, this new religion made me curious. I didn't join any, but it made me aware that there were other options out there. I remember one specific encounter that had a very profound effect on me. I was in my 20s, and I was in the university when I decided to go into the cathedral in downtown of the Tegucigalpa one day. I sat down in one of the seats near the front of the church. A priest came up to me, asked me what I was doing there. I replied, I was simply there to talk to God. The priest then told me I couldn't sit there at the spot was saved for the special people. I was very surprised, and I replied to him, I'm sorry. I did not know that there were special people for Jesus. This encounter really affected me. It also made me want to look for a different fountain of spirituality. One that wouldn't find me not special enough. Through the years, I tried many different churches. I attended the Mormon church, the Evangelic church, and even Baha'i church. But none of them really felt like a spiritual home for me. But I found great satisfaction in the work that I did. I had started out in the medical school, but changed to the different program to become an anesthetist. And once I graduated, I was very busy in La Ceiba, Honduras. I did anesthesia for several different hospitals and clinics. I also did involvement worked for members of the community as well as for the Embassy of the United States. I found my work very rewarding because people in the community looked up to me and knew that they could trust me. I would get called at all hours of the night and day to do anything from epidural, from C-section to general anesthesia for traumas, to preparing the body of friends or family members. It was so satisfying to my soul to be able to care for people in their time of need. I felt that my ability to administer anesthesia was a gift given to me that I need to share with others. After I moved to the United States, I was unable to work in medicine because my training in Honduras wasn't recognized. It was difficult to leave behind the work that I loved, but I was optimistic that I would find something. I live in Los Angeles, but I didn't find a church home in the year that I was there. About this time, my brother Roberto and his family had moved to Lincoln, Nebraska, so he could get his PhD in agronomy. They invited me to join them in Nebraska, so I made the move to the middle of the country in order to make some money. I took a job, a meat packing plant during the day, and worked in the kitchen of the Mexican restaurant at night. My schedule left little time for anything other than work and sleep on most days. When I was alone in my car, driving from job to job and home again, I found the music was a source of the happiness and peace for me. Not only did it help pass the time during my 30 minutes commute each day, but it filled my soul. I eventually started attending the Berean Church in Lincoln, Nebraska. I enjoyed my time as part of the church. It was there that I met a gastroenterologist who, after learning of my past medical training, invited me to apply for a tech position at the endoscopy center in which he was a partner. I was happy to have the chance to get back to doing something closer to my true love of patient care. The work in endoscopy suite was not exactly what I was used to do it. I was assisting the doctor and cleaning the scope, but I felt wonderful to be back in the medical setting. I was able to stay in this position until I made the move here to Rochester 17 years ago. And here I am. I have been very lucky to have some work that allows me to interact with the people. First, I was at the Migrant Health Clinic. I really enjoy being able to help my fellow Latinos with their health care needs. For 13 years, I have been doing phlebotomies at Mayo Clinic. First, and the emergency department, and now in the Baldwin building. I am able to touch lives every day that I work in that field, just amazing. It took many years of living here in Rochester before Bonnie and I, my wife, found the UU Church. She had been looking for a church home for us. We went to a couple's churches near our home. One was way too big, and another had too many holy rollers. Bonnie found the website for UU8 one day, and to my surprise, she read the 7 principles to me in Spanish. I felt like I agree with all of them. It took another few months, before we actually made the decision to go to the service. When we finally chose a Sunday to come, we felt very welcome. There was no place reserved for special people. It didn't take us long before we decided to become members. This church feels like a home to me. I don't feel like I am a stranger. I feel accepted just I am. And I feel like my soul is filled every time I come and listen the day's service. And the music here has been and continue to be so inspirational. It touched me so deeply. There are some Sundays that coming to church is exactly what I've been needed to help me recharge my spiritual battery at the end of the long week. So I guess what I believe is that I'm being given a gift to help people, a gift I get to share every day. And I am so glad I could share my journey with you today.
This reading, echoed in our closing hymn as well, was chosen by Grace in connection with her family. It's the prayer of St. Francis. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Amen.
Good morning. This is not my first time coming up here to give a faith statement. I was up here 10 years ago during my coming of age class saying God knows what about God. I don't remember too much of what I said, but I do remember including a quote. I'd like to start us off this morning with another one. From Jonathan Safran Foer's intergenerational story of what it means to be human, 2 key characters are learning how to live and love as a family. If there is no love in the world, we will make a new world, and we will give it walls, and we will furnish it with soft red interiors from the inside out, and give it a knocker that resonates like a diamond falling to a jeweler's felt so that we should never hear it. Love me, because love doesn't exist, and I have tried everything that does. Growing up in this faith tradition, I've been taught to focus on my values. This quote reminds me of that. Focusing on your values allows you to create that new world and sprout to life things that may not exist in those places. It has taught me to bring compassion, honesty, integrity, justice, and tolerance into every space I enter. At the end of the day, all we want is someone to love us, and maybe the bad choices that humans make are simply because they didn't feel loved. That is why, to me, knowing your values and remembering to live into them is key. Even more important than that, my faith has always inspired me into action. If you know anything about me, you know that I am not a relaxer. I do not stop and smell the roses. I go out and plant as many roses as I can for all of the rest of you to stop and smell. And I can smell them while I'm planting them. My true north has always been and always will be using my passion for talking and nonstop movement for the greater good. There's always a cause to be taken up and a hill to die on. This warm and inviting home here in UUism has never told me that I'm too much, as others have, but instead has embraced the internal fire and helped point me in a well-intentioned direction. Not only has it inspired me into action, my faith has always inspired me to ask questions and to explore new things. I've had the opportunity in life to learn about other faith traditions and other worldviews. Without the grounding I have received from UUism, I may have faced those opportunities as challenges instead. I could have stiffened up, backed away, and put up a wall of defenses when greeted by people who are not like me. I could argue and look down upon traditions that may otherwise be magical and wonderful if given the chance to be explored. We all know people like that, and sometimes we are those people, as well-intentioned as we all hope to be, the people who miss out on new friends, new ideas, and a deeper understanding of humanity. From the high school friend, a woman of color, who has taught me what it means to be the only person that looks like her in a room, from the children I've worked with, whose meals consist of whatever $5 can get them at the gas station, and from the college friend who opened his heart up to tell our class about the unsettling conditions he experienced while living in Dadaab, a refugee camp in Kenya that as of May of this year houses over 200,000 refugees and asylum seekers. By learning through others, by loving where and when love doesn't exist, I have been blessed with an enriched life. Like many of you, I end up practicing my faith not on Sunday mornings, but in other ritualistic experiences and spiritual homes. When I am using my words, my thoughts, and my actions for the betterment of my community, I am worshiping. When I am thinking first of the kindest interpretation of someone or something, I am worshiping. When I am giving back to the earth with my time, energy, and compassion, I am worshiping. When I am loving deeply and expansively, I am worshiping. Of all the places to worship, my favorite, though, will always be in nature. To stand amongst greenery that is hundreds of years older than me, thousands of times wiser than me, is an honor. The earth is ever evolving, taking on new challenges that we have created, always greeting them with grace. Of all the awful things we have done on and done to our planet, still she stands tall for us. My problems never feel as small and ridiculous as when I am blanketed by the treetops. Just as I go to church on Sunday mornings to think of something other than myself, I seek nature to do the same. These ritualistic actions and these spiritual homes nourish my soul. The nourishment of the soul is a peculiar thing. You can spend years and years trying to fill your cup up with things that fall flat and never quite fill you to the brim. Like my favorite line from the prayer of St. Francis, it is in giving that we receive. I live my faith in this world by living my life for others. This is something that I have learned through my family traditions as well as through this faith institution. I believe in the power of honoring and respecting everyone you encounter. I believe in listening to understand rather than making sure that you are understood. I believe in exploring possibilities, taking the winding path of unknowing, and focusing on arriving to your own conclusions, no matter how outlandish they may seem to others. Who knows? There's probably someone out there that feels the same. In truth, I'm not the type of person who spends a lot of time thinking about what I believe. I felt overwhelmed at the thought of doing this 10 years ago, and I felt overwhelmed at the thought of doing this again. I'd say I'm just more of a doer than a thinker. I can't tell you if I believe in heaven or hell, or if we should all be converting to one religion before the end times, but I can tell you what type of life I'd like to live and what type of world I'd like to see. I'm interested in the people who are confident enough in themselves not to focus their attention on what others are doing wrong. I'm aiming to build a world that lends a hand out to those who could use some extra love, and one where we ask how something got that bad in the first place. I thank this church for instilling in me the courage to seek my own truths, to waver in my beliefs and in my doubts, to stray and come back again, always greeting me with a smile and a warm cup of coffee. My hope is that when we look at others, no matter what tradition they are a part of, we don't focus on how many religious services they have attended, how many prayers they have spoken aloud, but instead focus on how many hands did they hold and how many lives did they touch. That is what I believe distinguishes a person living out their faith. I'd like to leave you with another Jonathan Safran Foer quote. He writes about a young boy searching all over New York City for answers about who his father was after his untimely death on 9/11. I think this quote embodies our seventh principle, which is, in case you forgot or you don't know, respect for the interdependent web of all of existence in which we are a part of. My life story is the story of everyone I have ever met. Now we are going to sing hymn number 1066.
I invite you, as you're comfortable, to join a hand next to you or place your hand over your heart and breathe deep the breath of life. Go yonder, and gather the people. Give them not hell, but courage and hope. Give them something of the love you have found here. Tell all the people that love is our home. May it be so. Amen.